Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open. Once again, we are a hybrid coming to you virtually from Cherry Executive Suite. So, our last guest is a singer-songwriter, musician, and producer who, from the age of 7, was playing the flute, alto sax, and piano. And since then, he's worked with music giants from Mary J. Blige to Beyonce, Madonna, Zendaya, Gladys Knight, Chaka Khan, Stevie Wonder, and oh my gosh, we can just keep going. But with his eclectic, soulful hip hop style, he's basically designing a trail in his own music. And here to share more, we bring singer-songwriter, musician, and producer Eric Hall.
Hey, what's going on? How you feeling?
Back in the living room, or the virtual studio, I should say. and I just gave this like grand introduction of all these amazing people that he's worked with. And Eric, I know we're here to discuss, your new drop, but we must open up just having a conversation about what that was like for you to tour with Miss Mary J. Blige, especially like you dropped out of school to go tour with her.
Yeah.
I mean, college people, just to be clear.
Right. Oh, it was an amazing experience. It was kind of like one of those like coming to age moments for me because I had to make a decision. And ironically enough, I was actually going to school for music performance. So I was getting a performance degree, Bachelor of Arts. But when I got presented the opportunity, it really started as like maybe a month worth of dates. And I was like, well, maybe I could finesse going to school still and like come back and unbeknownst to me, the way the music industry works, so the way I think opportunities work, once you get that one window, if you do well, it's just 1 month turned into like 6 months immediately. And I said, okay, wow, what am I going to do? So I made that decision to leave school, and my parents supported me. Even ironically enough, my teachers at college, they said, you're getting a music performance degree. So when you graduate, you're just going to be performing. You're not teaching. So why not go? And I remember my sax teacher, he said, Mary J. Blige is like the Aretha Franklin of my generation for y'all. He said, so why would you not go? And I went and it was such an amazing experience. I was super green. I remember getting a salary and they're like, you're getting per diem too. I'm like, what's per diem? And then I remember meeting her the first time in rehearsal, and it's like her presence, like I was a little shook. Can't front. Me and my brothers, my other friend who's a part of the horn section, we were shook because she's so cool, but she's intimidating when she walks in, and she's from, Yonkers, got that New York swag. So, but once we started playing and vibing with her, it was just like amazing. And we were with her for like almost about a year. And we went everywhere we went to Europe, we went to all of America. We did award shows. We did everything. So I definitely got more than my feet wet. Probably got my big toe up to my knee. Maybe even jumped in a little bit to the water. Definitely got my feet wet, but amazing experience.
So you got the life degree is what you got.
That's exactly what it is.
That is so what's up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited, right? And even though that's kind of like in your past, right?
It is, but it's something that you can't. Memories, I think, especially great ones, they're still here. So yeah, it was a real long time ago, but that's the reason where I'm able to speak to you now. I mean, that's part of the story.
Right. And so, and then I mentioned all these other artists. And so having worked with so many renowned artists, like, instead of asking you, what did you learn? I want to know what you learned not to do moving forward.
Wow, what I learned not to do. So many things. I learned that doesn't matter how talented and gifted you are, if you don't understand how to deal with people and treat people a certain way, your talent will only get you this far. And I met a lot of musicians along the way who were so talented, whether I worked with them personally or whether it was somebody I observed. And I realized that like being a jerk and maybe like not even being professional, maybe like not really knowing your stuff, not showing up late, having a like real lackadaisical attitude, or just even a bad attitude. I saw a lot of musicians that were coming together, and we were here like this, and then I started going like this, and I saw them maybe right here, and I said, well, wow, I don't understand. And then as I sat back and really observed, it was like, wow, it's these basic fundamental principles in life. And I think it could spread to any area of life. You could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer. If you don't treat people well, you're just not going to get as far as you possibly could. So fortunately for me, a lot of the artists I worked with, I had way more good situations than bad, but I definitely learned my main biggest thing is this: just treat people good, because your talent is cool and that's great. But if you don't treat people good, people be like, oh, I don't want to work with that person anymore. So that's something real valuable that I cherish this day.
That's such a wonderful, wonderful principle to share with our viewers. It really is, I'm a firm believer in kindness being a jewel,
Mhm.
and something admirable, right? It's something that should just come from within.
Right.
So for you to express the value of that, even in this industry, and I say this industry because the business, there's a lot of egos involved,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're dealing with legends and icons. So if they can be kind, then those that are on the rise, like, so what do you think that is, by the way? What do you think that is that makes people have to push and flex and posture to the point that they're just operating strictly on ego?
I think there's a balance of it. So ironic. I remember reading this book. You ever read a book when you were younger and then it's like, it's cool. And then you like, an adult, you're like, this is what it meant. I remember reading this book called Lord of the Flies. And part of it was like the ego, the super id, and the id. I promise you, if I didn't do music, I'd probably go into psychology, right? Because I just love the way the brain thinks. And I think there's a necessary balance to have that ego, but then there's that other side of you that you have to like, it's that balance to control. And I think when you let the ego lead so much, that's what happens. And then I feel like you just have to have some type of ground or base. And also too, sometimes people get caught up. Like sometimes you get a lot of attention and power, and you like the way that feels. And I'm human too. I've had an ego sometimes. I constantly gotta say, all right, check yourself. You know what I mean? So I think it's about having checks and balances, whether that's having people in your life who could ground you and root you, or practices. Some people do religion. Everybody has their different practices that keep them grounded. But if you don't have anything to ground you, it's like a tree that's not all the way planted. Once something comes away, there goes the ego.
Oh, wow. This is some great advice you're offering. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insight. It's really deeply taken because I feel you. I feel you. Right. So this is going to lead me to the next question, which is the name of your new release, right? You named your new release Disaster. So here we are talking about balance. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. His new release is called Disaster. I wonder what he was going through.
Right. I was like, oh, man, you be telling a lie. You ain't about all that stuff. You just name your song Disaster. But no, I called it Disaster because sometimes for me, I kind of went through it for the most part when I write my music write it, perform it. It's coming from a place of truth. I don't know. I think I was in a relationship or dealing with somebody where I knew it wasn't really right. So like part of the song, I'm speaking about some of the parts that were okay, but then it's like, all right, every time we go here, it's only gonna cause a disaster. So I mean, I think it's kind of like, I think that's a human nature innately. Like we do stuff like if someone says don't put a mask on, you're like, why? Someone says 6 feet back, I'll do 3. It's like we always have this thing that wants to go against the grain, even when we know it probably might not be the best for us. So that's really rap in a nutshell. It's about people doing stuff that they know they shouldn't be, and when they do, the consequence could be real disastrous.
So, and then, I'm going to just give a little hint. And then you use the element of fire. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah, man, because fire could be the best thing. Look, fire can help light your life, but the stove, but it also could consume you if you're not careful. So, yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh, look at this. Eric Hall, a truth speaker at heart. And we're so excited to be sharing this with our audience. So are there any last words you want to say and share to set up what we're about to experience?
Yeah. So for disaster, keep in mind that this is something that you might go through. So when you're watching this, just be prepared to might possibly see some of yourself in it. I think that's what music's supposed to do. We're supposed to see something in that music that we relate to. So I think everybody has possibly been in a disaster. So just be prepared to see yourself in this video.
All right, that's Eric Hall just giving us the lowdown on reflections of humanity within his song Disaster. So don't go anywhere because when we return, he's going to perform it for us.